Hello and welcome to Through Imperial Eyes. My name is Braydon Leadbetter. I am your host.
I am your other host, Jackson Daleen. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out.
And we are here with our brand new podcast, Through Imperial Eyes, a podcast far, far away. Jackson, what is this podcast? What are we doing here?
We're just talking about everything and anything about the stuff that we love, and that's Star Wars. You know, we're going to talk about movies, books, and games, and everything in between, and just hang out and have a fun time.
Yeah, we're just here to celebrate Star Wars, talk about Star Wars, give you the news, the latest and greatest happening in a galaxy far, far away. Later on down the line, we're going to be having guests pop in every now and again. And to make sure you keep up to date with us, we're going to be releasing episodes of our main show, which is this show, every single Thursday. So be on the lookout on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever you prefer. And we're also on YouTube, so do not forget that. But Jackson, what have you been up to in the realm of Star Wars recently?
Well, not a crazy amount right now. I'm trying to fill my time. I just started the brand new High Republic novel that just recently came out. I'm a couple chapters into that, and I'm having a good time so far. There's not a lot of TV shows that are current right now since we just finished off Mandalorian, but I'm very excited for the stuff that's soon to come that we'll talk about. As of right now, just playing video games and just reading books and whatnot.
Cool. I just recently finished Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. I know we were talking about that earlier.
That's an excellent book.
It's so good, and I am like 5 years past due on reading that book. It is so good, and Claudia Gray is probably my favorite Star Wars author of all time. She just writes characters so well and writes scenes so well. And I'm so excited for her new High Republic novel that's coming out, I think, in the beginning of next month. I pre-ordered it already, so hopefully we can dive into that.
Very cool. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. But I haven't really been watching much of anything recently. I plan on diving in and doing my annual Star Wars marathon here pretty soon. So
I am watching the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars in chronological order just to give me something to do since they are an anthology. So,
did you watch the movie?
I did. That's actually the episode I just finished on. So I think after that is the Clone Cadets. So I get to meet like the ARC Trooper characters that will become.
Yeah, we're going to lose some listeners for this, but I haven't seen all of the Clone Wars. But whenever I did start watching it, I'm not all the way through, but when I did start watching it, I did start chronologically. So I did the whole chronological order, like where you start in the middle of like season 2, like cat and mouse, and then you go from there. So
I just had it to where my roommate just showed me the best episodes from what he remembered, and he showed me all of the essential ones that needed to be watched, but episodes that I didn't watch just because I was told they weren't important, and now I'm actually going back and combing through it.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the main portion of our show, Star Wars news. So let's play catch up a little bit and talk a little bit of Mando season 2. What did you think of Mandalorian season 2?
I thought it was incredible. I thought it was some of the best Star Wars that we've seen in a good while, and just even in general. And I think it's going to be remembered as some of the biggest stuff that we've pulled off, just technological wise, storytelling wise, directing, acting,
with the volume,
everything. Just the amount of mass following that has come from it in, you know, the couple of years that it's been out. And I thought it was just absolutely spectacular. So much fun, so much new, you know, so much things that I think will be remembered.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's just Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau playing in their sandbox of what they want to see in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much. And sometimes it just feels like you're watching an episode of Rebels or Clone Wars, but live action. And that's what I love about, like, it doesn't have to feel like a big, you know, 13-hour long movie. It can feel more contained, and it can feel more like, you know, you're just watching an innocent episode that also is moving the storyline along, which I love a lot. So in this season of Mandalorian, what were some episodes that really stuck out to you?
I fell deep in the Boba Fett hole. That is pun intended. I thought the episode "The Tragedy" was just really awesome. I think props to Robert Rodriguez for creating this tense, action-packed episode that really kind of brought a lot of things together for our final little arc of that season. I also think the Bo-Katan episode was really cool. That's just because I love Mandalorian and all that fun stuff, especially from the Clone Wars and Rebels. I think just each episode just held its own, just was able to just show and prove itself something really spectacular.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like there was any filler this season. Like every single episode was an adventure in and of its own, and it kind of encapsulated. Go ahead.
It just chipped away at the at the greater kind of scheme in the story and the lessons that we were learning.
Yeah, and it really embraces that Star Wars like classic serial storytelling that we all love.
Absolutely.
So what were some different moments and standout moments that you thought that you liked a lot in this season?
I really loved the art production of the Jedi episode. I loved the style that was created, the full on homages to Kurosawa movies and those, samurai standoffs. And I think it was so cool seeing a character that we've only seen animated show up and still be just as absolutely awesome as we've always known her. Ahsoka Tano, just Rosie O'Dawson, I think, absolutely blew it out of the park. Just was incredible for it. And when it comes to seeing classic characters, I think, spoilers if you haven't watched it, but I think the internet has ruined it.
If you're listening to this podcast, you have seen Mandalorian season 2.
In some shape or form that our boy Luke Chanel Boot Skywalker shows up and takes our little green friend Grogu.
Yeah, some episodes that really stuck out to me this season, and this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but chapter 10, The Passenger with the frog lady and the ice spiders.
Ice spiders, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I just love that episode so much, and I can't put a finger on why. I think it just feels like a genuine Star Wars like swashbuckling adventure that I love, and that like what I always loved about Star Wars when I was a kid. So I think it really brought me back to that.
And I love always seeing new worlds in Star Wars. I love seeing new ecosystems, new species, new monsters, new, just everything. I love being introduced to this galaxy that we think we know so much about,
Yeah. What's funny is, when George Lucas first started creating Star Wars, he had this idea that like each planet would have a different, ecosystem and different, stuff like that. So we had like the sand planet, the ice planet, the forest planet. And now we have, Hoth is not just the ice planet anymore. We have Hoth, we have Ilum, we have this one. Tatooine's not the desert planet anymore. We have Jakku, we have Jeddah, we have
jungle planet. That's going to be down the hall and to the right. Go through that door, and there'll be a selection of few.
Yeah, we got Takodana, we got all those. So yeah, I think just like them expanding the universe with these different planets is awesome, and it's something obviously is expected from Star Wars. But
Absolutely.
it always encapsulates my childhood whenever I see it.
So cool. Let's talk about Mr. Skywalker.
Yeah. So I have to admit, when I first watched this, a lot of people always talk about their reactions and how they cried and they bawled. But for some reason, I just stood there in shock as soon as his X-Wing came up.
It was surreal for me. I didn't necessarily. I didn't think they were gonna do it. I didn't think they were going to pull that card.
Right.
And I think it was definitely a good card to pull. I think it makes the most sense, especially I think how they are setting up the sequel trilogy. And I think that's really cool to kind of fill in some gaps that we haven't seen and known and heard about yet that is obviously still building,
Yeah. And a sentiment that I don't know if I really agree with is that this is the Luke Skywalker that we didn't get in the sequel trilogy, which to me, it doesn't feel like that they put this in there just to shun and, take away from the sequel trilogy. This is Luke at a different height of his power. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that, you know, this is Luke and he's still in his, yearning for the great beyond days.
Well, and I definitely think too it's good to show a character like Ahsoka Tano, who is someone who had their vision and viewpoint of the Jedi Order changed on them.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the whole thing. That's the whole point Luke makes in The Last Jedi, is that the Jedi aren't exactly what they see. And at this point in Mandalorian, like you said, this is Luke at a different point in his life. He doesn't know the things he knows now in Last Jedi. So, excuse him for, not having as much faith anymore when he's chilling on the big rock.
And he's still coming to terms with like his mastership and, bringing together a new entire generation of Jedi, and he's still at the beginnings of that stage. He goes through some stuff in between now and The Last Jedi that a lot of people don't realize.
I would assume too, Luke probably hasn't even started the school yet. He's probably just getting some people development. He's just training people now, just to to know that he can train people. I think it'd be really cool if we got a live action Kyle Katarn from the Jedi Academy games.
Oh, yeah.
He's essentially Luke's right hand man, who's just he's like if Han Solo was a Jedi, and he's really cool. He's fun. I think that'd be cool to show. Another
character that comes up in Mandalorian season 2 that I was kind of surprised. Like, there was rumors about this before, but I didn't know if it actually happened. But Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth.
Oh, as
from
Cobb
the
Vanth?
Aftermath series.
Yeah. That was I think that was fun to show and bring a character like that I don't think necessarily everyone was expecting, But what a
something
cool
we
way
only knew from the novels.
And what a cool way to use that to help introduce that Boba Fett's still around, to show that good old Boba's still kicking.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I haven't actually completed reading all of the Aftermath books, but apparently the way he acquires the armor in the Aftermath books is like the story is told different than what happened in The Mandalorian. So there's a little bit of like a change between, what happened in the novel and what happened in The Mandalorian, but I just don't think it matters that much. I know they're trying to establish that, the books and everything that they've released since 2012 is all connected and it's all one thing in canon, but little details like that.
They're changing things.
Yeah, they can be overlooked and it doesn't change the entire outcome of the story.
So where do you think Mandalorian's going to go after all of this? This was a pretty big season. Some big stuff happened. So where do you think it will take next? Where do you think it'll go? Because we're not going to see Mando for a while too.
Yeah, I really do hope we go back to Mandalore, because it's been alluded to throughout these past few seasons of Mandalorian that Mandalore isn't exactly the Mandalore we know. It's kind of broken down, and some people say it doesn't exist anymore. Some people say it's just ruins now. So I'm excited to see if they do take this route, where we're going to be with Mandalore.
I think that could definitely be rumors that the Empire started in order to keep Mandalorians away. I think that's kind of, they talk about, like you said in Mandalorian, that the planet's kind of in this, like, nobody really knows what happened to it. Not like it's gone, but it's just, it's empty, everyone's too afraid to go back. And I definitely would believe that. It's almost like a myth
at this point.
Well, it's just how fast the Empire made the Jedi obsolete, in a 20-year span. Almost everybody have forgot these keepers of the peace, like I could totally believe that for just a planet, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think Mandalorian season 3 is going to focus a lot about Mandalore, the planet. I think we will probably not see Grogu for a little bit. If anything, I would say end of the season or on to maybe a season 4, just to give him some time to be training with Luke.
Yeah. I would love to see him training with Luke at least sometime in like the span of the entire series.
It'd be cool to have like an episode or two where it's, about Grogu.
Yeah. And I thought this was kind of funny, but it would almost be funny to hear him
Speak.
Is he going to sound like Yoda? Is he going to, are we ever going to see an adult Grogu? I think we will. But in The Mandalorian, are we going to see an adult Grogu?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, or like what kind of time jumps are we ever gonna have like a 10-year time jump
See,
between seasons or
I don't know if maybe a little bit in seasons. I guess how old is Pedro Pascal?
he's in his 40s, I think.
Does he want to be the Mandalorian when he's an old man? That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
I'd be down if he just kind of hung out and stayed.
He'd be called Old Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I think overall this season was just absolutely spectacular. I think it was really just able to showcase what Star Wars is while still giving us new, fresh, and fun stories with characters that we know and love.
Yeah. It's easily the most fun I've had watching a Star Wars series in a long time. So moving right along to our next news story is whenever Lucasfilm announced their new slate of movies and TV shows a couple weeks ago. There's so much we need to go through and there's so much to talk about. So just starting right off, getting right into it, what did you think about the announcement of Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins?
I think it's going to be really cool. I think space and pilots and just kind of the Star Wars is a very big thing that we get in every single Star Wars content. And I like that we're actually getting a movie that's gonna feel like it's a pilot movie. It's dogfights, and it's gonna be this team bonding thing, and I think it's gonna be super cool. I'm definitely interested to see how Patty Jenkins is going to showcase that. I have my specific thoughts about Wonder Woman 1984, but I also know that she made the first Wonder Woman, and that's a killer movie. So I'm down for whatever. I'm still gonna see it.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by like what kind of characters we're gonna have, and where the story can go and how it can further like even just Star Wars lore. It'll be really fun to see what she can do.
For sure. Talking about some of the other stuff, I think some of the new series coming out I'm very excited for, especially the Kenobi series.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm big hype for the Kenobi series.
Yeah, Kenobi is my number one most anticipated thing, like piece of Star Wars content that's coming out.
I think mine as well, next to the Book of Boba Fett. I've been looking forward to the Obi-Wan series for a little while. I love Mr. Obi-Wan. I have his lightsaber tattooed on my arm. Yeah, I think it'll be very fun. It'll be definitely exciting to see Hayden return as Mr. Darth Vader. And I'm curious to know how, what kind of flashbacks are they going to use Hayden for? Are we just seeing Hayden as Vader?
I hope we get a nice
well?
Clone Wars Anakin Hayden flashback.
I think we definitely will, and I think that would also be like the inclusion of people like Tamara Morrison. I think he'll come back as Captain Rex or Commander Cody, and I think that's kind of where those characters will be showcased, is in those flashbacks. Which I think that'll be really cool, is seeing Clone Wars action in a live action sequence.
For sure.
I think specifically the scene in Revenge of the Sith where it's 212 taking on the droids on Utapau when they're sieging Grievous's hideout. I think it'll be cool seeing whole flashback scenes, episodes, or just this series kind of amp that up a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see who pops up in this series, because we know we'll be getting Hayden and Ewan, but what about like a Qui-Gon? I really think that you can't do an Obi-Wan series and not have a Qui-Gon Force ghost.
Yeah, I think seeing Qui-Gon will be really cool, especially with, I think, Obi-Wan kind of accepting the powers the Force can give him, i.e. becoming a Force ghost. I think Yoda teaches him how to do it, but I think I could definitely see the plot of the Kenobi series being Obi-Wan losing faith in the Force, and this show being about gaining that faith again.
Speaking of Yoda, do you think we'll get a Yoda in this series?
I don't know. I kind of like to think that that Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa just was like, all right, like see you guys later. Like, and like we never talk about this again.
I wonder if the story will ever take us to like, obviously, Obi-Wan or anybody like that won't see him, but I wonder if they'll show him for like a wink, wink.
Yeah, right. Yoda just communicates through the
yeah, that could be cool.
That's what Yoda does in Rebels. He communicates to Jedis when they go to the temple and whatnot. I could see Obi-Wan having some kind of quick hotline to Yoda at Yoda's Dagobah crib.
He's got him on 4 speed dial.
Call Yoda's shack at 1-800 the green one.
The green one. What do you think? Do you think there's a chance of Palpatine showing up in this show?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. If they do, it'll be kind of a one-off scene. I don't necessarily think they'll make him a big villain. I think all that focus is going to be on Vader.
Yeah, I think if they do, it'll be like a hollow of Palpatine giving Vader orders or something, and then that's it.
I think this series will also kind of show Vader and Obi-Wan figuring out that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah.
Because I would assume that Obi-Wan thinks and assumes that Anakin is dead, died on Mustafar, kind of thing.
Yeah, so much of this series is going to be banking off of Ewan McGregor's performance, and I'm so excited to see what he'll be able to do.
From what I've heard, he is just more than excited to be working on it and be part of this. And
he has been wanting to come back to Star Wars since 2005. This is a long time coming. Lastly, one thing I wanted to kind of talk about with you is, in this show, they say that this is going to be the rematch of the century between Vader and Obi-Wan. Do you think we'll get that prequel fighting style in this show with lightsabers?
Yes and no. I think to the extent of that the battle will be a very evenly matched battle, but it's not going to be, flips and tricks and, skateboard tricks all over the place. I think it'll definitely show. I think, Lucasfilm is never going to pass up good Vader content. Vader just destroying things. Yeah, for sure. I'm always down.
But I think things are going to come much easier to Vader now, especially since he's powerful and he's a little less mobilized now. So I think it'll be cool to see Vader use his power against Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I think Vader's such a clunky and big person that I think it'll be really cool to kind of show how strong he is, just force ability wise. Like, we've always known that, we've known how strong Vader is with the Force.
Yep, moving right along here. So I know we got to talk about Ahsoka.
Yeah, this will be a really cool one. This is essentially Rebels the sequel.
Yeah, it'll be really fun.
Who do you want to be Thrawn?
Well, the rumor is that it'll be Lars Mikkelsen. That's kind of the running rumor right now. But I do have a few other ideas. If it was up to me, and I had to cast somebody, I do like the Benedict Cumberbatch route. I do like that a lot.
That's my pick.
But I did have one fan casting that I have not heard yet, and that is David Thewlis, Lupin from Harry Potter.
That's awesome. That's a good pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I think he'd be really good at that voice. Yeah. It's just that calm, like,
it's the iconic voice that David Thewlis has. Like, he was even in Wonder Woman too. But there's just something about him that he has the ability to play that menacing role with Wonder Woman.
That calm, calculated, just evil.
I think he might be a little on the old side for the character, but I just think he would be so good. But I'm totally on board.
Like, it's been some time since we've last seen Thrawn too. Like, the man was probably in his 40s at the end of Rebels. So I would assume this being another.
Yeah, there is that big. I keep forgetting about that big time gap in between the events of Rebels and the events of when the Ahsoka show is supposed to be happening. But we don't know how Thrawn's species ages, do we?
Slow. I think by the time in Rebels he's like 90.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like his age is 90. Yeah, I think it'll be super cool. I have my own kind of theories about Thrawn being around. I think he is going to be a big contributor in the First Orders starting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I kind of think Moff Gideon works under Thrawn.
Although there is some explaining of the origins of the First Order in Bloodline.
Really?
Just so you know. Yeah, just so you know.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I need to check that one out. I think Ahsoka will be definitely a fun series. I think it'll be cool to possibly see some characters turned into live action, and even their return. Sabine Wren, of course, Admiral Thrawn. I hope we see some, Ezra Bridger come back, and characters like Captain Rex, who were heavily in, the Rebels series. Yeah. So I think that'll definitely be fun. Another big show I'm really, really excited for is going to be the Book of Boba Fett. I think that'll be really cool to see that character kind of we finally get to see the crazy adventures that Boba Fett puts himself into.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I was watching that last episode of Mando season 2, and when the credits started rolling, I noticed they didn't have that concept art that usually rolls at the end of each episode. And I was like, ooh, they're doing something here, aren't they? They're doing something here. And then, of course, that post-credit scene came in Jabba's palace and the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, that floored me. I was like, oh my God, but aren't they going to do season 2? What's happening?
I'm not surprised, but I am very surprised, and I'm very
pleasantly
glad
surprised.
I think it'll be really cool.
It'll be like Sopranos in space.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's The Godfather, but not.
Yeah. Staying in the realm of Mandalorian, and those kind of characters, we need to talk about Rangers of the New Republic.
Is that the Cara Dune show? Is that what that's going to be?
I don't know. I think it is, but there's just no telling right now. They really haven't released any info. We just know it's going to line up with Ahsoka.
It's gonna be like Walker Texas Ranger. it's gonna be like late night crime TV, but on just different star systems, and just
like Law and Order in space.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's gonna be hysterical.
I think it'll be interesting to see the parallels between the Ahsoka show and this show, and how they lead up into like they say it's going to be like a big climactic event that it leads up to. I don't know if we're getting a movie. I don't know if we're getting like a big special. I don't know what's going to happen.
That'll be cool. Yeah, I like that these are all going to be building towards something. That's neat to know. So, well, I guess talking about something that isn't building to something, let's talk about The Acolyte, which will be kind of a different TV show. It's like what's Disney House of Mouse, the villains
oh my God.
Disney House of Mouse.
No.
That's what The Acolyte's gonna be. That's what that is. It's
Yeah, I really hope that we do. I think they did say it would be set in like a few centuries before the prequels, something like that. They said it would be like near the High Republic era, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would assume it to be in the High Republic area, and just kind of about probably the final little moments of the Sith, or maybe just how the Sith, kind of established their final.
Yeah, I hope we get like that Darth Bane vibe.
Yeah,
throughout the show.
I think that Disney and Lucasfilm want to eventually include Old Republic, bring in those characters into their own version, with Darth Revan and Bane and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm also hoping this is going to be a female-led show, because we really haven't seen many like awesome, kick-ass female Sith. I mean, besides, we got, in Clone Wars we have Asajj Ventress and people like that, but I really want to see an awesome, prominent female Sith.
It'd be cool to meet a group of characters that are all inherently evil, you know?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. But speaking of characters that are evil and traitors, how about the Lando show?
That one caught me by surprise. Actually, I love Donald Glover. I think he is a fantastic performer, and I think he did an incredible. He's the best part of Solo.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's going to be fun. I think it's going to be cool seeing those little misadventures that he's going to get. I'd love to see Alden return as Han Solo. And
yeah, I think you might. But I think people are a little they're still a little like freshly salty about Alden and the whole Solo thing.
About playing Solo.
Yeah. And I think it's time
fair.
people just get over that by now.
Yeah, I don't
know.
think it was necessarily an awful job.
No, I
do remember though that they had to bring in Harrison Ford for acting lessons.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was. I think it was just. There's something about it where like Alden still captures, I think at least for me, Alden still captures the nuances that I love in Han Solo. And I think like I actually believe that he could have been a younger Han Solo through most of the movie. There were some moments where I was like, I don't know about that. But I thought overall it was really fun. But yeah, I think this Lando show, it could be really cool, especially if we do get Billy D back. I almost imagine like it would be kind of funny if we had like maybe the series is Billy D as Lando sitting in a bar telling stories about like his young adventures, and then we flash back to Donald Glover and they're going on adventures and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Come here, let me tell you a tale of how I used to run spice trade.
You like spice?
I made the I sat cockpit while someone else ran the Kessel run in 12 parsecs.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Star Wars spin-off movies, obviously we love Rogue One. But Andor was a series that caught me by surprise when it was announced, but now it's officially in production right now. What do you think?
So I like the idea of getting a cool, gritty James Bond spy series. I wish we were seeing that with new characters, with original characters. I know what happens to Cassian Andor, and like that's cool. Like that's fine. I'm still gonna watch it. I like the character that I saw in Rogue One, but I'm not. I mean, like I'd rather see newer people who are characters that I don't know. You know, the rebellion was big. Why am I seeing these same people? You know.
Yeah, I just hope we get that awesome, espionage series, but the stakes have to be super, super high.
I agree. And I think that they'll be able to pull that off. I think that'll be a really cool thing of seeing, Cassian have to, work on his feet and have to figure out some kind of situation to stop the Imperials from doing some kind of, scheme or whatever. I think it'll be very fun. The concept itself is very cool.
Yeah, we know that he can't die or anything like that, but I just think the state of the galaxy during this show needs to be very dire and very like their missions need to be, next to none. Right,
need to be
meaningful to the story.
Hit or misses,
yeah. But cool. Moving right along here, we were talking about Clone Wars earlier. The Bad Batch is indeed happening. That was announced a little bit before the slate was announced. What are you thinking about Bad Batch?
It's essentially going to be Clone Wars Season 8, which I'm all okay for.
Yeah.
I'm most excited to see how they're going to show the Empire's first couple of months or years, or I guess however long this show goes. From what I'm assuming, it takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I think so.
And from what I assumed in the trailer, it looks like the Bad Batch doesn't necessarily join the Empire. So it'll be very interesting and emotionally impacted to see this Bad Batch, these clones have to start taking out the first kind of waves of the Empire, which were the clones. It was before they stopped using them.
Yeah, and one character that I really love from Mandalorian is Fennec Shand, and apparently she's going to be in the Bad Batch. So that'll be cool.
She'll be in it.
Yeah, Ming-Na Wen's getting a lot of work now in Star Wars, so that's cool.
Good for her.
Yeah, whenever I saw, whenever they had that investors meeting where they showed all the featurettes and stuff, the Bad Batch one was the one that I was least impressed with. It looked great, but the trailer itself, I don't know what it was, but I am very hopeful that my expectations will be exceeded. So
I think it's going to be fun. It'll be cool to continue that animation, especially with that new Disney Plus money. Season 7 of Clone Wars is gorgeous. It is a pretty season. So I'm excited to continue that updated style of animation.
Yeah, down the road we'll have to do it. We'll have to do like a Clone Wars rundown.
For sure.
Like a series rundown. That'd be fun.
Speaking of animation, let's talk about let's kind of bundle these last two little series, and let's talk about Visions and the Droid Story.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be super cool with that Japanese style anime, anthology that Visions is going to be. I don't know a lot about a droid story. I know it's animated, and I know it's about droids.
Yeah, I think they were saying something about, let me get something pulled up really, really quickly. As Lucasfilm continues to develop new stories, the intersection of animation and visual effects offers new opportunities to explore. Lucasfilm Animation will be teaming up with Lucasfilm's visual effects team, ILM, to develop a special Star Wars droid adventure. That is about it.
That's cool, though. I think that'll be neat. I always love to see what styles of animation that they can build from it, and just see what we can, what art we'll see. That's always the fun stuff out of new things.
Yeah, and for Star Wars Visions, they're going to be like 10 anthologies, so it'll be just cool to see, the different styles of animation they'll incorporate and the different stories they'll be able to tell inside of that animation.
It's like Love, Death, and Robots, but for Star Wars.
Yeah, just like some good old Star Wars anime.
We're chilling.
Yeah. But cool, let's get on to our next kind of news story. Not really news anymore, but back when they announced Project Luminous, everybody was like, ooh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? We knew it was going to be a novel thing. But now we know, and it has been released now, the first novel of the High Republic, 200 years before the events of the prequels. What did you think when they announced all this High Republic jazz?
I think it's actually a really cool way to keep showing us Jedi content without making it overbearing. I think it's kind of a neat way to introduce us into this world of the High Republic, of when the Jedis were, kicking it big time. I just started that book today, Is it Light of the Force? Is that it? Light of the Jedi?
Light of the Jedi.
Light of the Jedi. I just started that today, and it's really cool seeing how active the Jedis were, and I think the only time we really get to see that is in the Clone Wars and in the prequels, and even then it's not as extensive as I think it is going to be in this new era, and I really like being able to get that, is to see that of people relying on the Jedi to be the keepers of the peace, whereas the stuff we've seen have been them doing that, but now they have a cool clone army at their side.
Yeah, because like in the prequels, we kind of see like the flaws of the Jedi and like how that affects the future of the Jedi from the prequels. But now we get like the height of the Jedi and where they are like the true peacekeepers of the galaxy. And we get a section of this story that we have never really explored before in canon. So it'll be cool to see what Jedi are like and what they're up to whenever they're like the main like officers and peacekeepers of the galaxy.
It'll be really cool to meeting all new Jedi and new characters that I think are gonna stick around for a while, and there'll be people that we can actually grow connections with, especially with all these different books and so many different Jedis I think we're gonna meet too. There were thousands and thousands of them. How many are we gonna meet in these new awesome books?
Back in the day, I used to listen to Collider Rule of Two, and they always talked about how the Force and the Jedi are like the Big Mac of Star Wars. It's like the main meal, like how at McDonald's, like their main menu item is a Big
their
Mac
headliner. Yeah,
and that's kind of what it is for Star Wars. Is the Force and the Jedi is kind of what I love about Star Wars, and it's what a lot of people are attracted to Star Wars for. So I'm happy to see that this entire series is going to span across an entire generation of just Jedi and Force users. It'll be really cool to see that.
of just Big Macs, yeah.
Of just Big Macs.
The Star Wars universe is on The Star Wars universe is on the quarter pounder and the all day breakfast of
Yeah.
content, whereas the High Republic is the constant Big Macs.
I think we got the all day breakfast whenever Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah. Yeah, right. When we got 10 new shows before 2022.
Speaking of the High Republic, be on the lookout for next week. We're going to be reviewing the first novel in the High Republic series, The Light of the Jedi. That'll be coming next Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to go dive deep, get real into it, get sweaty with it. So yeah, what do you want to talk about next, Jackson?
Let's talk about video games.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about some cool stuff that's come out. A little while ago, big announcement that came out is that all video games in the Star Wars, like all Star Wars video games, are now being rebranded into the Lucasfilm Gaming. EA had a contract with Disney where essentially they got to make any and all Star Wars games. That's where we got Jedi Fallen Order, the Battlefront remakes that came out, which Battlefront 2 made its turnaround. Started off rocky and it was a bit of a crap show, but that's all right. But I think it'll be really cool that they have rebranded this new era of gaming, and sounds like we're gonna get some new Star Wars games. We're already starting to see some with Ubisoft making a open world Star Wars game. I'm more than excited to see that. I've wanted nothing more.
That game seems like it'll be awesome, especially if it has, there's so many opportunities and expectations growing out of this game announcement. There's just so many possibilities, and I have no clue what they're going to go with, because I'm really hoping for an open world game where you can interact with whoever you want, just random aliens that are sitting around the map. You can go on you can go into the underworld, you can go on spice runs, you can go gambling, you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah,
just a full RPG immersive game where you just have full control. I would love that. I don't necessarily know where they'll take it. I know Ubisoft is responsible for Assassin's Creed, and those last couple Assassin's Creed games have been 10 out of 10 out of the park games. So I've heard rumor it being a bounty hunter game, possibly a Mandalorian game. I know a little while ago the maker and creative producer for the God of War PS4 game said he wanted to see a Mandalorian game. So I could totally see something of that caliber.
Yeah, once they do release this, what do you think the era do you think it'll be set in?
Personally, I would like it to stay in original trilogy. I could see maybe an in-between section. It'd be cool to see in between original trilogy and sequel trilogy, that 30-year gap. There's not a lot that we've really explored in that. Yeah. I think that would be a really neat option, and especially to show us new worlds and other worlds that we know but are probably very different now, especially after a big war and 2 Death Stars exploding.
Yeah. It would almost be cool to see this open world game be set in the prequel-ish era, maybe a little bit after the prequels, going into the original trilogy. That'd be cool. Or if even the game took us through the events of the original trilogy.
And that's kind of what Fallen Order shows, maybe of more of a Jedi story. So maybe at same kind of area timeline-wise, but it's through someone else's
in more
point
of
view.
A state of the galaxy type of story.
More of the common man. Yeah, for sure.
But what other possibilities do you think we have with this whole gaming announcement? What kind of games do you want to see?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have to think on that one. What kind of games do I want to see? I would love I would love a Battlefront 3, and you actually include characters from the series and whatnot, and more worlds, and bring back Galactic Conquest from the original 2005 Battlefront 2. That was the best. That was my favorite game mode in that. I think it'd be cool. I think remaster some games, or at least remake them. So, try a new style of different stuff. This open world game apparently is going to be one of the things that we've always wanted to see. I think more ship games. I think Star Wars Squadrons is a very fun game. I think if we kind of put in full effort on something like that, I think that'd be really neat and fun to see.
Yeah, I hear Squadrons is hard.
It's very hard. It's very, very complicated. A lot of different controls. It was probably best it was probably made and is best played on VR, but I definitely do enjoy playing it on my PlayStation.
I thought Fallen Order was kind of hard.
Fallen Order, that style of combat I've always never been crazy about, but even Fallen Order had its moments where I was able to actually enjoy it. I love that, you know.
Yeah, it's like that Dark Souls style game.
It's all timing and stuff.
In the boss battles.
I'm playing Star Wars Jedi Academy, which is like from 2003.
Yeah.
It's an old pixelated game, and the lightsaber combat's very like weirdly like natural. It's all about like, it's not the strike that you do, it's all about just when the blade hits you. So sometimes even if your initial move hits, but you're, you know, swinging back from behind and the guy's behind you, if it hits him, it gets him. So
nice.
it makes it seem very real because you don't necessarily expect, they're not just walking up doing this to you. They're also, you know, they're trying to swing at you and they're jumping around and using force powers, and it makes you think on the fly. And I really like that, especially when it comes to seeing that in newer games, for especially, you know, just making it feel natural. I hope the open world game lets us have some lightsaber action just to tear everything up.
Yeah. I have an idea for a Star Wars game.
Let me hear it.
Star Wars Sims.
That's happened. Sims 4 has a
Star Wars brand, but it's not going to be called Sims. It's just going to be called
it's just their
Star
Sims.
Wars house creator with a family.
Star Wars person pretender.
Yes, Star Wars person pretender coming to a GameStop near you November 12th.
Coming to a video game seller person.
Yes.
In your nearest galaxy.
to your nearest video game dealer.
Yeah, right. Hobo Joe on the corner who sells you video games for $1.
But anyway, I think we just about covered everything.
Does that cover it all? Wow, that was fast.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in to our first episode of Through Imperial Eyes. This is our main news show. So make sure you're keeping up to date on all things Star Wars here every single Thursday. We're going to go through all the latest news stories, have some special episodes pushed in there every once in a while. It'll be fun. Jackson, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Quackson Scalene, Quackson, Scalene, like the triangle. I also, as my shameless plug, follow my photography Instagram at Daleen_photography. Braydon, where do they want to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at braydonleadbetter and on Twitter at braydathlon. And then for the show, if you want to follow the show on Instagram, make sure you're hitting up our Instagram and our Twitter. We post there. We're going to start posting there often. Our Twitter is at Imperial Eyes Pod, and our Instagram, you can find us right there at Through Imperial Eyes Pod. But make sure you're tuning in next week because we will be reviewing Light of the Jedi, the newest High Republic novel. So make sure you're tuning in for that. And until then, may the Force be with you.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. Have a good one.